race and what you think you are is definitely a white man's construct. And you're going to understand that when the Most High starts to reveal this truth, all of these lies are going to come out. Many people seem to think that they are things that they are not. See, many Mexicans, a lot of Latinos, maybe on their birth certificate, it says that you're white. And with that designation, maybe over the last, 150, 160, couple hundred years, some people have gotten benefits from that designation. But why, if a lot of these people were olive skin, brown skin, whatever else, why is it that some brown people would be considered white and others would be considered Negroes, Indians, mulattoes, or whatever else? See, it isn't because of your purity or because you seem to have maybe a little bit of your European characteristics or whatever, so they say. It's because of a treaty. The people being considered white, they were actually here in these lands, that would be considered were Mexicans before, were designated as white because of a treaty. Let me show you right now. From this book right here called White Fright, okay? It's going to let you know why many Mexicans were considered white. And it was not because, you looked a little bit closer to white Jesus. You had a little bit more white Jesus characteristics. It was because of a treaty. Check this out. This is coming from a story here at the top about this Mexican immigrant who wanted to marry a so-called black man. And it was denied because she was considered white. So check this out. The olive-complected daughter of Mexican immigrants, Andrea Perez, was considered white in California, thanks to the provisions of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, 1848, which ended the Mexican-American War. The treaty provided for the cession by Mexico of more than 500,000 square miles of territory, including all of California, and declared Mexican nationals eligible for U.S. citizenship. So just because these people were eligible for U.S. citizenship, check out why they were considered white, okay? At a time when only white persons could naturalize, effectively making Mexican white by default. So you had a lot of, people seeming to think that they're better than because, it says white on their birth certificate or whatever else. But it was just because only white people in 1848 could naturalize. And since they took over your lands, that was part of the agreement that you would be considered white at that time. So, you have like a lot of Latinos who probably had land back then and whatever else. They were Spaniards also. And so they could even end up keeping their lands and keeping the things that they had already taken from the original people. Again, this all goes back to Psalms 83 and how they've all worked together. Okay? But trust me, later on, they made laws that actually took away that whiteness. Might have said white on your birth certificate, but you weren't going to be treated like a white man for very long. Check this part out. Keep on reading on down some more. Many people think that a lot of these things were happening so long ago, but you're going to keep on reading down. These things were happening within this last generation in order to keep people away from each other, okay? Because they knew that eventually we were going to be breeding out these other nations. So therefore, they had to make all these laws to keep us separated. So it says, although those who sought to limit Mexican immigration to the United States use anti-miscegenation arguments to make their case, Uncle Sam should look on each Mexican immigrant as a prospective son-in-law, thundered prominent eugenist Harry Laughlin in the mid-1920s. Jurists generally followed the lead of an 1897 federal court decision in Texas that asserted, the primacy of international treaties and held that national origin determined citizenship status of Mexicans regardless of assignment. Okay, the draft took Sylvester Davis to war in 1944, but he returned from Europe and he was determined to marry Andrea Perez. All right. Andrea agreed to his proposal over the objections of her father, and the couple applied for a marriage license on August 1st, 1947. They were denied the license, by an employee in the marriage bureau of the county clerk who cited California's anti-miscegenation law, which forbade all marriages of white persons with Negroes, Mongolians, members of the Malay race, or mulattoes. Okay, so this is why a lot of them seem to think that they're better than, but it's like, look, you're no different than us. It was just because of these laws that were set up in place. But check out these other laws. The law, was one of many written in the 19th century by representatives of the great Hegira of the land Hungry Anglo-Saxon. Okay, as Jacqueline described, California's early white leadership that recognized land ownership, political participation, and social relations. California's first code of criminal procedure prohibited check this part out, legal testimony against whites by blacks, mulattoes, and Indians. The legislature barred Mongolians, Indians, and Negroes from public schools in 1860 and prohibited the employment of Chinese laborers on public works projects in 1879. Now, if Native Americans all migrated from China, from Mongolia, or whatever else, why are you making a designation between Mongolians and Indians? Shouldn't those Mongolians be the same as the Indians that are here? But so you're making a distinction between Mongolians and Indians and Negroes. Because you already know that the Indians that were already here were already so-called Negroes. And then the Mongolians were a totally different group. So you want to make sure you encompass all of those people. You could have just said the Mongolians were the natives, but you're making a distinction right here. But right here, as you can see, blacks, mulattoes, and Indians, okay, they were not allowed to, have testimony against whites. So they could do whatever the hell they wanted to you, okay? And you had no recourse whatsoever. But these are like some of the laws, and we're going to get into some more of this information because this thing is like chock full of so much information. But as you can see, like your designation of who you are when it's set up by man is set up at their convenience. Now you think, like I said, when the Most High comes and cracks these skies open, you're going to be considered a Mexican or white or black. As you can see, that had nothing to do with the past. That had to do with convenience. Okay, we're going to get these lands, so we got to make some concessions. So we're going to get these lands of California and everywhere else, so we're going to make some concessions and say that the people who were already here, we're going to consider them white, so they can therefore get a lot of the benefits. They can keep the lands that they had. They can have those land grants still. They can keep whatever they had before. They had, so a lot of these designations are made by convenience. They're not made because you're somehow pure, or you're somehow, you got an N, or you're so-called closer to white Jesus. Because later on, look, are you being treated like that now? Are you being treated white now? Of course you're not, right? They still look at you, as less than. Okay, they'll say one thing about you being the same, but look all over the news. We don't need these immigrants here. We don't want these immigrants here. We don't want these people coming in here, taking our jobs, taking this, taking that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they raise up one group to go against another. And that's how they go. So you got some people, hey, man, we're going to let you be white. We're going to give you some benefits. We're going to let you have some land ownership, whatever else. But you got to make sure that you hate these so-called Negroes. You got to make sure that you work on keeping them down. But we're all in the same pot. We're all at the bottom. But like I said, so just know that your designation of who you are today has nothing to do with the Bible, has nothing to do with who you are originally. It has to do with how they wanted to designate you right now in order to keep you separated from the children of the Most High. So that when they raise back up here at the end, you're going to not want to listen to them, but you're going to listen to these priests who are lying to you about absolutely everything. Shalom.